um, many points in the Asia-Pacific region, and also from Europe, longer flights, which can be made with transits easily in places like Singapore and so on. Next slide, please. The airport is actually quite close to the city, about 8 kilometres away, and can be easily reached by a train service or, of course, taxis and other forms of transport. Next slide, please. Here's a view of the conference centre. I've got a little bit more later to show you. The conference centre is the smallest squat building there, and the Sofitel is a large hotel tower beside it. But this is the first view of Darling Harbour, on which the conference centre actually sits. The point about this slide in part is to say that transport around Sydney is easy. There are a lot of options, including the local metro, ferries, walking, taxis and so on. Next slide, please. Here's a view of the central part of Sydney. Darling Harbour lies on the western side of the central business district. But this view gives you a longer view looking out all the way to the Pacific Ocean along the harbour. Next slide, please. Here's a closer view of the centre. It was there was an older convention centre in the city. It has now been completely rebuilt and is only less than 2 years old at this stage. But it's a modern state-of-the-art conference centre, and in fact on the bottom right-hand corner is one of the areas we'll actually be using. That area will be used for the poster displays, exhibitions and morning and afternoon tea. Next slide, please. We have thought hard about facilitating student attendance, and practical matters for that really relate to the costs for accommodation and for dining and getting about the city. And we've done some careful costings which we hope will make it feasible for a good number of students to attend. Next slide, please. There's too much information on this slide to really take in, but actually we've calculated reasonable costs for students to attend from different particular countries in the Asia-Pacific region, and you'll see that they start around about the $560 mark. Next slide, please. For more senior and experienced delegates who will be using hotels, there are a large number of hotels within the vicinity. As it says there, over 6,000 rooms, and these range from about $125 a night to $250. August is a good time of year. It's not especially busy, so there will be adequate accommodation for the attendees. Next slide, please. Seafood is very good in Sydney, but there are lots of other eating options as well. The point of this slide is merely to say that they're within the harbour region, the central business district region. There are a large diversity of food styles available. It's a very cosmopolitan city, Sydney, in terms of eating styles available, ranging from the relatively cheap end to, of course, the quite expensive end. I should also say there's an interesting Chinatown section as well. Next slide, please. Within Sydney itself, some attractions I've laid out on this slide here. They range from activities connected with the Opera House, if you're interested in a concert or some other activity such as dance. The Opera House is well worth a visit. The other adventurous end, you may climb the harbour bridge. You may visit the zoo, the beach, August, the time of year that we're proposing, is actually the winter time for Australia, but Australian winters are extremely mild, and this is the end of it. The days will be about 20 degrees on average, and there's not much rain at that time of year. Maybe 4 or 5 days out of the single month might be expected. So we would expect coolish, dryish conditions, fairly bright. Next slide, please. Further afield from Sydney, there are a number of day trips that you can do. If wine tasting is your interest, the Hunter Valley is a couple of hours drive away. There are other interesting points here within a couple of hours. For example, the Blue Mountains have got a lot of scenic spots, particularly in the vicinity of Blackheath and other viewpoints over the mountains and valleys of the Blue Mountains. Further south, there's Wollongong and Jervis Bay, which are lovely day trips out as well. Next slide, please. Rather further afield, one can visit, of course, places like the Barrier Reef. It's a good time of year to visit the Barrier Reef. One is better to go in the dry season in the Barrier Reef region rather than the wet season. The dry season is and includes part of August. The days are cool enough to enjoy this part of the reef and to avoid the intense rains that sometimes happen in the summer. That same comment is true, but not for the rain, for visiting Uluru, Ayers Rock in the centre of Australia. This is a very hot area in the summer. Going in winter time is the ideal time to see this. There are a number of other beautiful spots further afield as well. The Great Ocean Road is a famous drive on the southern coast of Australia that one can visit also. So there are some options there if you have some time to spend at the end of the conference or before it. And next slide, please. The dates that we've agreed on are the 21st to the 26th, Sunday the 21st through to Friday the 26th in 2022. And my final slide, please, is a clip. If you can play that clip, that would be great. There's a view of the bridge here, of the Opera House. This is the convention centre itself. Here's a view of Sydney during the so-called Vivid Week when they light up the Opera House. I don't think we can hear what has been said, but it's inviting you to make friends of the koala. I think the video is near its end, but it seems to have locked up. Oh, someone's sailing, and I don't think you can hear that, but someone is also having a good time on the bridge. Anyway, that concludes my presentation, and I'd like once again to extend you a very warm welcome to Sydney in 2022.
This concludes. Today evening's function here. So I invite all of you for a nice banquet dinner with some spirits